I have always believed that to truly understand the nature of a person or a situation, one should not look at the center, because what lies in the middle is often carefully arranged for others to see, while the truth often hides at the edges of the frame, where the light does not reach, where most people never think to look closely. I didn't learn that lesson from my years in college lecture halls, nor from board meetings or the elegant cocktail parties that my current life offers. I learned it in Syria, a place where every crumbling wall could hide a mine, where the wind carried dust, blood, and the smell of betrayal, where I lost 2 brothers because I hadn't looked closely at the blind spot on the left. Now, I sit quietly in a penthouse on the 47th floor, looking out at Chicago's Millennium Park, a place where the sky casts long shadows on the water, and the city lights flicker as if they have nothing to hide. The apartment is designed to be chillingly perfect. Just like my life now, everything is deliberately arranged. Not a line too many. Not a corner missing. Lauren, my wife, is walking through the living room with steady, sure steps. The sound of her heels on the wooden floor is like the rhythmic tapping of a pre-written piece of music, and every step of hers exudes self-control, even a certain calculation. She is packing for an unexpected business trip, Zurich. 3 days, and although her words are as soft as the wind brushing against the glass, I know that trips like these are never truly sudden, especially when accompanied by a look that no longer wants to linger where I am sitting. I don't speak immediately, just quietly swirl the scotch in my hand, watching the ice cubes melt slowly, like a relationship turning cold that no one has the courage to admit. Cold, empty, and fading. That is how I feel her presence in this apartment. Are you sure you don't need anything for the next 3 days? She asks with a voice that is perfectly modulated, like a rehearsed speech. Number. Go ahead. I'll enjoy a few quiet days, I reply, keeping my voice calm, neither high nor low, as if it were just a polite greeting between 2 old acquaintances who have stopped trying to understand each other. She smiles a beautiful, perfect, and standard smile, but it carries no warmth, no sign that she is truly present in this conversation. It's the kind of smile born to soothe questions, not to express real emotions. The door closes behind her with a soft, brief click, like a final period at the end of a chapter in a novel, whose content I was never allowed to rewrite. I wait a few minutes, not out of regret, but out of a habit of vigilance that has never left me. Then I get up and walk toward the bedroom. Hidden beneath the wooden floor, in the 3rd drawer from the left, is a remote control that Lauren has never known about. I press the button. The large mirror opposite the bed flickers once, then turns into a screen where images from the security camera are replayed fluidly and emotionlessly. I fast-forward the video from the previous night. At 3:17 a.m., a figure appears at the edge of the frame. He does nothing, doesn't move, doesn't try to enter or pick the lock, but just stands still as if observing something very specific. It's not a vague observation of a place or an object, but of a person, and that person, I know very well, is me. They are probing, measuring reactions, memorizing the rhythm of the lights, calculating the timing. I used to do the same thing on dozens of missions, and I recognize the way people like me think. I turn to the bookshelf, pull out a wooden panel from behind, and open the wall safe. The code is still the only string of numbers linked to a memory. I have never been able to escape the exact coordinates where my 2 comrades fell because I wasn't careful enough. Inside the safe is the kit I had hoped I would never have to use again. But clearly, hope is a luxury in my old profession. Inside is the Sig Sauer P226 I kept from my old unit. A karambit knife with a curved blade like Death's Smile, a jamming device, a remote-activated earpiece, and a city map with contingency safe houses. Everything is still in place, clean, waiting to be used. That day is today. Night falls quickly. The city below is lit up. But inside my apartment, the darkness thickens in a different way, denser, heavier, and leaving no room for error. At 23:51, the door lock opens, bypassing the alarm system. They are using a high-frequency jamming device, exactly the kind of device used by people who have been trained or who have killed. 3 figures walk in, acting quickly, cleanly, and coordinating smoothly without a single wrong step. From their formation, hand signals, to their division of observation angles, I immediately realize these are not petty thieves. This is a tactical team, and they are here to end a life, not to steal a wallet or a watch. But there's one thing they didn't expect, that the person they came to end is the same person who was trained to survive in much harsher conditions. The first one is taken down in absolute silence. I choke him with my left arm, feeling every twitch until he goes still. The second one takes a precise blow to the throat, collapsing without a sound. The last one is younger. His hand is trembling, the gun in his hand wavering as if it too is scared. I walk towards him, deliberately and without rushing. My eyes are not threatening, but they are not forgiving either. "Who hired you?" I ask. He hesitates. I twist his right wrist in the opposite direction until the sound of the bone breaking is as clear as a confession. "Preston Hayes," he screams, his voice breaking with pain. "But we only received orders." From Lauren. My heart doesn't clench, doesn't beat faster. It just stops for a moment, as if my own body needs a second to confirm what my mind has suspected for a very long time. I bend down, take the phone from the dead man's pocket, and unlock it with his fingerprint. On the screen is a single pinned message. Mission complete. No sender name. No personal information. No traceable clues. But I don't need anything more. I have everything I need. Lauren didn't just leave me. She chose to end me. And her biggest mistake was to fail. The distant headlights shine through the early morning dew on the window, cutting across the darkness for a brief moment before everything sinks back into the dense night. I drive the old Range Rover through the industrial area on the south side, where the city forgets, and people like me choose to disappear from sight. In the back seat is the surviving assassin, his hands tied with zip ties and his eyes covered with a Brooks Brothers sports jacket, which I found in my own closet. He is no longer screaming or resisting. After last night, he understands that any struggle is futile when faced with someone who has been through things worse than death. I didn't kill him, not out of humanity, but for information. As long as he's alive, he still has value, and the only thing stopping me from cutting off his breath is that I haven't gone deep enough into the snake's nest to know which one is the one who ordered me killed. I pull the car into an abandoned garage, which was a city bus repair shop in the 82nd. The door closes behind us with a metallic screech, shutting out all sound from the outside. Inside, the smell of old paint, oil, and the characteristic mustiness of decaying time clings to every crack in the concrete walls. This is what I call the waiting room. No one knows it exists, just like me, since last night no longer present on any GPS, phone signal, or traffic camera. I tie him to an iron pole, do a final check for any tracking devices, then I step out of the car and open the trunk. I take out a device that I haven't thought I would have to restart for many years. The network. It is not an organization, nor is it a group of people. It's a system I built myself, consisting of a series of virtual accounts, relays, encryption devices, and a few people scattered around the world, all linked by a single set of principles. Discreet, fast, and absolutely no questions asked. I once used it to protect clients from having their financial information leaked. Businessmen, politicians, major investors, people whose entire system could collapse if their identities were revealed. Now, I am using it to trace my own blood trail in the painting of lies that someone has created. I start with Lauren. In less than 12 hours, I place her and Preston Hayes under absolute surveillance. I don't need physical tracking devices. Their every movement leaves a trace in credit systems, GPS data, traffic cameras, and account transactions. They thought they could hide everything just by not mentioning my name. But their mistake was living with someone like me, someone for whom every unusual behavior, even a small change in their morning coffee routine, is enough for me to see a pattern. Preston is just a puppet, a pawn put into the game to be sacrificed if everything falls apart. He moves constantly between locations, but has no access to truly important information. Every one of his meetings ends with data being transferred to a device he doesn't keep. and all those devices are transferred to the same place. Lauren, I don't want to believe it, but the system doesn't lie. Never. I put on my earpiece, extracting audio clips from a hidden listening device in the smart bracelet Lauren often wears for yoga, a birthday gift I gave her last year, which has built-in health sensors and GPS. What she doesn't know is that the bracelet also has a directional microphone with a 4-meter radius, a technology I once developed for a CIA client, and she was the first test subject. In a recorded call from the previous afternoon, Lauren's voice is clear, crisp, sharp, without a hint of hesitation. No news from him yet. Maybe he's dead, but keep the second team on standby for another night. The person on the other end of the line replies with a low, steady voice and a terrifyingly familiar tone, like an old nightmare whispering back. Don't be reactive. He doesn't die that easily. All intelligence must go through me first. Understood? Lauren replies succinctly, like a subordinate reporting to a commander. Understood. I sit there, in the darkness of the garage, without moving. Every cell in my body is trying to reconfirm what I just heard. I thought Lauren was the victim, a pawn being manipulated by someone, a woman pulled into a game bigger than herself. But no, she's not a pawn. She's the one making the moves. No one is manipulating Lauren. She's the one doing the manipulating. A loyal lieutenant. A fighting knight for a goal I haven't fully seen. I don't know why, but I know one thing for sure. The mask has started to crack, and what I see behind that crack is no longer the wife I once loved. Some wounds never heal, not because the flesh is too weak, but because the person who inflicted it plunged the knife into the exact spot that the heart still remembers. And nothing hurts like a knife from behind from someone you once called brother. I drive towards the old industrial area in South Chicago, where abandoned factories lie dormant like shipwrecks, buried under a layer of ice. Each smokestack has stopped breathing. Each building is a decaying concrete block. And every road here leads to oblivion. It is in places like this that dirty deals are often arranged quietly, cleanly, with no witnesses, no questions. I arrive an hour earlier than the scheduled time, enough to prepare, enough to observe, and enough to listen to my intuition. I am no longer the naive soldier I once was, the one who believed that brothers in arms would never betray you, because that very belief killed my 2 friends in Syria. And this time, if the mistake is repeated, I will be the next one. I had contacted Shane Blackwood, my former comrade, the one who fought alongside me in bloody campaigns, the one I once trusted with my life. I told him about Preston, about my need to access him, to find out who was pulling the strings behind Lauren. Shane seemed shocked, or pretended to be shocked, then immediately offered to help, his voice full of enthusiasm as if he were still the brother I once knew. He said he had heard some information from the arms dealers on the north side and wanted to meet me at an abandoned steel factory to exchange information safely. When I heard that location, something inside me stirred, not a vague hunch, but a slippery feeling like stepping on thin ice. Steel. Abandoned factory. Safe? Too perfect to be real. I didn't refuse. I just didn't show up as he expected. I sent a small drone, the kind used for urban warfare surveillance, to hover over the factory 2 hours beforehand. The infrared camera, motion radar, and directional mic transmitted a truth that I had already somewhat guessed. Shane was not alone. There were at least 8 people divided into 3 groups, covering the entrances, the roof, and even the drainage tunnels. A sniper position had been set up in the northeast, with the best view of the main yard. Each person was equipped with heavy-duty standard weapons, and most importantly, the way they moved, signaled, and divided their approach was exactly the SEAL tactic I was trained in, not regular mercenaries. These were people trained like me, or by the same commanding hand. I didn't enter that place. I watched from afar, from the 3rd floor of an opposite building. From there, I clearly saw Shane walk into the yard, pretending to check a map, talking on his earpiece, small but redundant gestures, as if he was performing for someone outside my line of sight. I don't need anything more. I return to my hiding spot, take off the earpiece, light a cigarette, something I quit in 2012, and let the smoke snake through my fingers, into my lungs like a paradoxical detox. I need it, to keep my mind from shattering. I take out the audio recording of Lauren's voice that I had extracted the night before, filter out the noise, increase the volume, adjust the mid-range frequency, and then, what I feared most appeared, no longer in doubt, no longer deniable. The voice on the other end of the phone was none other than Shane Blackwood. Slow, low, with the old rhythm of a man who was used to giving orders on the battlefield. He wasn't someone pulling Lauren's strings. It was Shane himself. He was coordinating her. He gave the orders. He was the one who acted. The two of them together planned to kill me. I don't remember how long I sat motionless after realizing the truth. The pain didn't hit like a hammer. It seeped out little by little, like blood seeping through fabric from a knife wound that wasn't deep enough to kill me instantly, but was too precise for me to live as I did before. I have stood in a hail of bullets, seen comrades torn apart by a mine, and shot down an enemy just because he moved a second too late. But nothing, I swear. Nothing was as painful as that voice, echoing from behind the curtain. The person I called a brother, the one who clapped me on the shoulder on a battlefield in Syria and said, "It's safe." I checked it thoroughly. The one who bowed his head at our friend's grave and swore he would never forgive anyone who betrayed the team. That person is the one pulling the strings to kill me again. This time not with bullets, but with memories. I once heard people say that betrayal breaks your heart. But the truth is, it didn't shatter my heart, not in the way dreamers often imagine. There was no cracking sound in my chest, no blood, or pain so intense that I collapsed. There was only an empty space, silent and so cold it was numb, as if all emotions had been frozen beneath the skin. That night, I walked into the nightclub like a stranger, not because I had never been there before, but because I was no longer the man who used to frequent places like that. Preston Hayes was sitting at a VIP table, surrounded by blonde girls in short skirts, half-empty champagne glasses, and the slick smile of someone who thinks they are untouchable. He didn't know I was there, standing in the dark corner on the second floor, where the lights didn't reach. I watched him for a long time, not out of hatred, but because I wanted to make sure he was real, that I wasn't chasing an empty name, a shadow created to distract me. And he was real flesh and blood, and with the deadly stupidity of someone who thinks money can buy immunity from consequences. I didn't step out of the shadows with a gun or a threat. I just sent him a video link, the recording I had taken from the internal camera system where Lauren and Shane last met. In the video, Shane leans towards Lauren, his voice low and steady, as if he's making small talk about the weather. That idiot Preston needs to be taken care of soon. He's no longer useful. He looks at the phone. He stops. Then he trembles. Not because he's afraid of dying, but because he just realized that he's already dead. It's just that no one has pulled the trigger yet. I walk out of the dark corner, approaching him gently like a breeze slipping through a crack in the door. I don't need to say anything, I just look at him. Preston doesn't say I'm sorry, doesn't ask why, and doesn't make excuses. He just nods like someone who knows the game is over. I take him out of the club through the back door, unnoticed. He is silent the whole way. And when I ask if he wants to live, he answers yes, in a voice smaller than the sound of the lighter I just flicked to light a cigarette. We arrive at a multi-story parking garage where there are no active cameras, no on-duty security guards, just the solitude of concrete, flickering lights, and the distant echo of cars. I give him a pre-programmed phone with a command. Call Shane. Tell him the police are watching you. Say you need to meet him right away, you can't wait any longer. He follows the instructions, his voice trembling perfectly, as if he's genuinely scared. Shane swallows every word. He will come because he thinks he's coming to silence an idiot. But no, Shane. This time you are the prey. When Shane walks onto the top floor of the garage, Preston has disappeared. In the darkness, I am waiting, my hand gripping the hilt of the knife. My heart beating so slowly it's almost still. Just as he realizes something is different, I step out, not hurried, not threatening, just the presence of a man who has nothing left to lose. He pulls out his gun. I am already close before he can take aim. We collide, two bodies falling onto the concrete floor, hands gripping wrists, grabbing for the gun, elbowing. This is no longer a duel between honorable warriors. This is survival, words choked back in every blow. The echo of everything that has been buried for too long. He is breathing heavily, blood seeping from the corner of his mouth. But he won't give up. I ask, "Why, Shane?" He is silent. Then he laughs. A dry laugh like teeth grinding on stone. "Because you didn't die in Syria. That's all. No noble reason. No righteousness. Just because I am still alive. And that to some people is an unforgivable mistake. I don't kill Shane. I knock him out, tie his hands and feet, gag him, and drag him into the back seat of the car like a broken piece of equipment. I need him alive not because I'm merciful anymore, but because he still has a role in the final act. Lauren needs to see him. Needs to know that her trump card has been overturned. And next time when I look into her eyes, it won't be the gaze of a husband who once loved her, but the gaze of a survivor who has become a hunter. Warehouse number 7 stands alone on the edge of the lake among rusty containers, non-functioning lampposts, and water as black and thick as sludge. Tonight, there is no moonlight, only the silent sound of waves lapping against the distant seawall, like the final whisper of a city that has witnessed too much blood. Too many deaths arranged in silence. I arrive early, not to check the terrain because I've been doing that for the past 3 days. Every cracked brick, every emergency exit, every rusty beam has been memorized in my head like an internal map. I arrive early because I need to calm down. I need to stand alone in the darkness, next to the traitor who is tied tightly to the iron chair in the middle of the warehouse, and remind myself that I am not here to kill. Shane sits there motionless, gagged, his eyes no longer showing any trace of the arrogance he once had. I don't need him to say anything more. He has said enough. And Lauren will understand what I want to convey, just by seeing him in this state. I use Shane's phone, the phone that is not locatable, only activated one way to send exactly one message. Warehouse 7, Lake Michigan. Bring the hard drive. Alone. I don't know if she will believe me. I only know one thing. If Lauren thinks she is still in control of this game, she will come. And just like that, less than 45 minutes later, the sound of tires grinding on concrete echoes outside the main door. A black SUV stops. 3 people get out. Lauren walks ahead, still with her hair neatly tied, a beige trench coat down to her knees, black gloves tightly fitting each finger, as if she just stepped out of a strategic meeting rather than a life-or-death battle. Following her are 2 men I don't need to look closely to know they are not bodyguards. They are professional mercenaries, with the gait of people who have killed without blinking. I stand behind a row of metal shelves, where the dim light only illuminates the sharp, rusty edges of time. I speak not loudly, not hoarsely, just enough for the echo to fill the warehouse. I said alone. Lauren looks up. In that moment, her eyes catch sight of Shane tied up, motionless, his head bowed like a puppet with its strings cut. And then, what chills me more than anything else is that she laughs, not a laugh of surprise or a sneer, but a soft, low, crisp laugh, as if she just watched a movie with a predictable ending. You're still as naive as ever, Jack. She pulls a Glock 26 from her jacket pocket, raises it, not pointing it at me. A bullet whistles through the air, straight into Shane's head. His body twitches once, then collapses forward, blood splattering on the concrete floor, soaking the edge of her shoe, but not making her flinch a single step. One less to share with, she says, calmly, without a hint of emotion. For a second, I no longer see her as Lauren, the woman I used to hold after a long day of work, the one I believed was my anchor. I only see a person who has exchanged everything, including her humanity, for something whose full shape I still cannot see. Immediately, the two mercenaries move. There are no warnings, no threats, just the sound of their footsteps charging, and the reflexes from my old blood rising like an instinct. I step back, rolling to the side as the first bullet grazes my ear. The first one closes in. Throwing a hook, I dodge, grab his arm, twist his wrist, and bring my knee into his stomach. He collapses, but the second one doesn't give me time to breathe. The knife in his hand slashes horizontally. I lean back, feeling the blade graze my chest, then turn and use my elbow to knock him away. There are no more options, no more time. There is only life and death. I use all the skills I learned in the military, and all the anger forged from betrayal. One man falls, then the other. No groans, no hesitation. Only I am left breathing heavily, facing Lauren. She stands there, not pointing the gun, just looking at me as if she had anticipated everything. And then, she pulls out a backup gun from her calf. Slowly, coldly, pointing it straight at me. The gun in her hand looks small, neat, and as cold as her eyes right now. A Walther PPK, the weapon of refined spies. Those who never let personal matters make their hands tremble. She aims straight at me. The distance only a little over 3 meters. Not enough for me to counterattack in time if she really wanted to pull the trigger immediately. But she doesn't shoot. Not right away. We stand still. I am breathing heavily, my left hand still bleeding from the slash. My heart beating rapidly like a countdown clock for a bomb about to explode. She, on the other hand, is as if standing in a conference room, about to make a final strategic decision. The only difference being that this time, that move, could end a human life. Mine. Every time I think you've changed, she begins, her voice low and soft. You prove me wrong. I don't answer. I don't need to explain. There is nothing left to justify to each other. We are no longer husband and wife. We are just two people who know each other too well, who know both our weaknesses and how to destroy each other with precise accuracy. You could have just let it be. You could have continued to live in your little illusion, in your beautiful penthouse, pretending nothing was happening. But no, you had to dig. You had to trace every little clue. You had to get involved in something you don't understand. I look straight into her eyes. I'm not getting involved in something I don't understand. I say slowly, one word at a time. I just won't let myself be killed. Like an idiot. Without knowing why. She laughs a small, sarcastic laugh. And strangely, there is a hint of regret. I'm not sure if she regrets it for me or for herself. You're always like this. Always having to be the last one standing. Even when everything has collapsed. It's not that I'm still standing, I say. It's that you didn't hit hard enough. I charge. No signal. No hesitation. Just a moment where survival triumphs over logic. She pulls the trigger. The gunshot echoes in the warehouse. The bullet grazes my shoulder, burning like fire. But I don't stop. I don't give her a chance to reload. I ram into her, pushing hard enough that we both fall to the concrete floor, the gun flying away, spinning into the darkness. I grab her wrist, pinning her down with my knee while she writhes, hissing like a cornered beast. I don't say anything. I tie her up with nylon zip ties from my jacket pocket, the kind used to secure explosive devices. One for the wrists, one for the ankles. She lies there, breathing heavily, sweat beading on her forehead, her eyes still staring at me as if to burn everything down. Listen, Jack. We still have a chance, you and I. You're the fist. I'm the brain. You need me to run that network. We could be invincible. Everything can still be. I kneel down next to her, looking at her for a long time, not to evaluate the offer, but to etch that face into my memory. The face that was once my whole world is now just a facade for a stranger. You're right. You're the brain. But the problem is, I don't need more brains to kill me. She goes silent. I take out my phone and open an app. The icon is just a small gray headset simple enough that anyone looking at it would think it's sound adjustment software. But inside is a backup activation system. An email was sent 5 minutes ago. Attached is all the evidence. The audio recordings between you and Shane, Preston's testimony, camera footage from the nightclub. Everything. I press stop. The phone vibrates slightly, signaling the system has successfully sent it. It can't be stopped anymore. It can't be deleted anymore. The recipient is a special investigative unit of the FBI. An automatic reaction when my phone disconnects from the Bluetooth headset. You don't have a chance to negotiate anymore. She bites her lip. A drop of blood seeps out. It's unclear if it's from her teeth or from the truth finally reaching the deepest part of her. Maybe it's the first time Lauren has felt what I once called fear. I stand up. I pick up the gun, check the safety, and then turn back to look at her one last time. I won't kill you, I say, my voice as low as a machine about to shut down. But you will wish I had. I turn away, leaving the warehouse. Leaving behind Lauren tied up, along with Shane's body, the 2 mercenaries, and all the evidence needed to convict her. I don't look back, because if I did, I might forgive her. And this time forgiveness is an unacceptable betrayal. Miami in March is unlike anywhere else. The sun is just hot enough to sting your skin if you sit for too long. The sea breeze blows gently as if it doesn't want anyone to notice it. The beach umbrellas lean lazily to one side. The sidewalk cafe plays French jazz mixed with the smell of espresso. And the whole city seems to be dreaming in an afternoon with nothing to do. I sit at the outermost table, my back to the street, my eyes looking out at the shimmering blue ocean in the distance. In my hand is this morning's financial newspaper, a commentary on the booming new crypto market. A few familiar names passing by like ghosts I once knew better than the back of my hand. But I'm not reading. I just want to keep the rhythm, to blend into the space, like a small ink stain dissolving in a cup of black coffee. On the table, the encrypted phone vibrates softly. No one but me has this number. I pick it up, unlocking it with my fingerprint. An encryption system I wrote myself long before the first people tried to trace me with artificial intelligence. A message appears, with no sender name, no phone number, no location. Just a single line of text, cold as a knife blade at midnight. The person who provided the false information in Syria is still alive. He is the one behind it all. I read it once. Then again. My heart doesn't beat faster. There is no cold sweat. No echo in my head like the first time I was betrayed. Only silence, the kind of silence of someone who has become too familiar with the darkness. So familiar that if the light appears, I will be the first one to squint. I fold the newspaper, placing it on the table like a guest who has just finished reading the evening news. No one looks at me. No one cares about the man in a light gray linen shirt, wearing sunglasses, with tanned skin and calm eyes like still water. I stand up. I put on my hat, and I blend into the bustling crowd on Ocean Drive like a drop of water blending into the ocean. I know one thing. If he is still alive, if he is truly the final link, then the hunt is not over, and I still have a reason to keep existing.